Hello everyone, welcome to Velotio Tech Shorts. My name is Ashish. I'm part of Velotio's software development team. I specialize in JavaScript, and today we are going to talk about building browser extensions. So let's just get started. I'll present my screen. Yes, here we go. So, what are browser extensions? So, basically, browser extensions are small JavaScript programs that run inside browser and they improve the browser functionalities, basically. So, extensions can be in the form of page actions, browser actions, context menu extensions, as in, like when you right click on any web page, you get additional options, right? So, those are context menu extensions and normal extensions. So in short, basically extensions help you improve your productivity uh, by adding more functionality to the browser. Some of the common examples of web or the browser extensions are, for example, Grammarly, then Web Developer for UI. Then Google Translate is also a very good example of browser extension. Now, let's talk about the structure of Chrome extensions. So, Chrome extensions or any browser extensions usually consist of a manifest file. It defines certain rules, including version, name of the extension, and lot many other properties. Then we have some HTML files to render the extension UI, some JavaScript files to control the DOM or any browser APIs. Then in case we have a pop-up for extension, we can have that as well. Some CSS files which help us stylize the extension and some other files such as logos, etc. So let's just deep dive into manifest.json first. So as you can see in the screen, so the left side describes you the some of the properties basically of the manifest.json. So it includes manifest version. Manifest version specifically tells you like which version of browser extension manifest it is using currently. The latest one is 3. Uh, then the name of extension, then the version string. So this version string will be used by the store basically to version the extension. By store, I mean in case of Chrome, it's a web extension store. In case of Firefox, it's a add-on store, and so on. And there are many other properties as well. So the entire list of what is supported into the manifest.json is specified into the documentation. And here is the list of all the properties that the extension supports. Then let's just talk about background script. So before that, what I would like to do is explain you a little bit more about uh, client and server architecture, just to get a better understanding of what's coming up next. So in order to understand it better, let's just start with an analogy. Before we get into understanding background script, I just wanted to give you one analogy about uh, a client server architecture model, wherein a client is basically a web application and server is something which listens to requests from multiple clients. So similarly, web extensions have three important parts. One is manifest or JSON, which we talked about. Second is background script, and the other is content script. So in the analogy that I just mentioned about client and server model, background scripts are basically a kind of servers in the analogy, and content scripts are basically uh, the clients. So we just have one background script running in background inside the RAM as a background process, and multiple content script processes running inside each tab of the browser. So whenever a new tab is opened, browser automatically injects a content script into that tab. As far as background scripts are concerned, uh, when the browser is opened, a new instance of a background script is created, and only this instance is running inside the RAM as a background process. Also to mention, even with different windows of the same browser, only one instance of background script is created. As you can see in this example, we have two windows, window 1 and window 2, and both are communicating with the same background script. So by window 1, we mean the content script from window 1 will be communicating with the background.html, which is common across all windows and all tabs. Similarly, in the left side, we have a pop-up, which is an extension pop-up. This pop-up.html is the content which is being rendered inside the pop-up. And it can also communicate with the same background script, which is background.html. About content script, like I said, content scripts are injected automatically by the browser when the new tab or a web page is loaded inside a new tab. So this indirectly means that content scripts usually run into the context of the web page and not the entire extension. However, there are certain limitations of content scripts. For example, if you want to trace the entire redirects that has happened before the page was loaded, that is not possible inside the content script. So in such cases, what we have to do is we have to send some messages to background script and get that information from the background script. So this is done with the help of message passing, which is the topic for the next slide. So message passing. So communication between the content scripts and the background script happens using the concept of message passing. Either side can either listen to the messages sent from the other side and also respond on the same channel. So there are multiple ways of passing messages. For example, in one-time request, this is usually done when you want to send a request from one side to another and then get a response as a callback. So then other than that, there is long-lived connection wherein you open a connection on some port and keep on sending messages to and fro. Uh, then cross extension messaging. This means that with the help of extension ID, which is a unique identifier of an extension, you can send messages across extensions. Then there is native messaging. Native messaging usually means like from the browser extension, we can also connect to the native application which runs on your operating system and exchange data. For example, one of the use cases like browser extension do not have access to local file system or even for that matter, the user information on the machine, right? So in that case, what we can do is we can send native messages to the native application and that application can respond you with the files information or the user information. So in the example that is attached here, we have content script communicating directly with the background page using Chrome's runtime APIs. Uh, then there is another flow wherein we have content script and an inject script. So one of the major difference between content script and inject script is that content script runs in the isolated context of the web page. That means it has access only to the DOM of the page and not the local variables or functions. Whereas inject scripts are injected into the web page. That means browser indirectly treats it as the part of web page, and in this case, it has access to local variables or functions. However, it is highly not recommended to use injected scripts, uh, and there are a lot of Chrome policies not to do so. So there is another way which in which communication can happen, that is through pop-up scripts. So pop-up scripts can directly read from background's global object. So in case of inject scripts, uh, injected scripts are injected into the web page. Then custom events are raised from this injected script back to the content script, and content script can forward those messages back to background page. We are going to talk about web extension APIs. So browsers provide extension with a set of special purpose APIs to interact with browser events. Most of these APIs are asynchronous. That means you have to provide a callback function, which will be invoked when a particular event occurs. Some of the Chrome APIs I've listed here in this diagram are management APIs, action. Management APIs are basically in case if you want to interact with, for example, when the extension installs, when the extension updates, if you want to listen to these events, you can use management APIs. Then there are actions and there are notification APIs, which you can use to send notifications from the browser. Then web request is basically all about getting web requests, as in the history of the URLs, then the redirects that happened before you reach to the page, then the when the page load gets completed and so on. Then the tabs APIs deals with anything and everything related to tabs like on tab, open, close, minimized, maximized, disconnected, or reconnected to the same window, and all those events. And storage APIs are basically like in case if you want to use local storage of Chrome extension, you can use these APIs. And there are many more. The list of all these web extension APIs is inside this reference. You can browse through them. In this demo, we are going to talk about setting up the development environment in short and creating a simple web extension. So let's just get started. For the demo, we'll be creating a browser extension that is able to change the color of a page based on a certain keyboard shortcut. But before we get into the demo, let me quickly help you set up the development environment. For that, we need two things. One is enabling developer mode in Chrome, and second is a simple code editor to write some JavaScript. So let's just get started. To enable the developer mode, what we need to do is we can just go to extensions page on the browser. You can reach to this page either by typing chrome:// extensions, or you can go to more tools and extensions and enable the developer mode in the top right corner here. So the next thing is open a code editor. I have already created one manifest.json file. Let me just delete this. And here we have some basic boilerplate for the manifest.json, which has name, description, version, and manifest version. So to get started with, we'll first add one background script and one content script. So every time we add new things to the extension, we have to update the manifest.json properties. So for example, if I want to add a background script, what I need to do is register that with the manifest.json like this. So I also need to create this file in my extension folder. Similarly, let me also add a content script. Yeah. So the important part here is the matches property inside the content scripts. What does this mean is like whenever you load an extension into the browser, any website that matches this domain will the browser will automatically inject the content script. You can also change this to run it on all the websites using some wildcards. So let me also create this content.js in the extension folder. Now, in the background script, what we want to do is listen to keyboard shortcuts. For that, we need access to the commands API, and that also needs to be registered with the manifest.json. So I'll quickly do that. So we will be using the commands API. What command we are going to use is command shift Y for changing the color. So let me also write some code that will add, that will help us listen to the commands. For example, chrome.commands.onCommand API will help us listen to commands, and it has a callback function inside which we can get the command name. To quickly check the results, what we need to do is load this extension into browser. We can do that simply by going to the browser and click on load unpack extensions and select the extension. So it has loaded the extension. And once I click on service worker, it will show me this pop-up. Now let me just go and hit command shift Y. Sorry, command shift Y. And also let me bring oh, I think we missed something. Yeah, command background.js. Yeah, looks like I loaded a wrong extension altogether. Demo extension. Command shift Y. Change color. Click on load unpacked extension, browse the extension directory and click select. So once I click on service worker, we will be able to see the background script console. And now if I type command shift Y, it will give me the name of command basically, which I typed. So the next thing is I'll just copy paste some code. Explain what's happening in here. So what we want to do is whenever we have a command for changing the color, we want to query the tab, the active tab basically of the current window, and connect with local storage and get the color property. So if the color property is already existing, it will give me it in results, or even if it is not existing, it will return the result as undefined. So based on what color is currently present, I want to switch the color to wheat or black, basically. Once that is done, the new color, then what I do is I want to send a message to the content script to set the color of that tab, whatever the web page is, to this new color. And once that is done, in response, when I get the response from content script, I want to update that color into my local storage so that whenever next time I open the browser, I know the last color that was set. So in order to understand the communication between content script and background script, we use this chrome.tabs and chrome.tabs.send message. This helps us query the current tab, and this helps us to send the message to the content script. So in order to receive the message and listen to the messages in content script, we need to also use Chrome APIs like this. So chrome.runtime.on message. So whenever a new message comes in, we want to listen to that message. And currently I have not added any switch case, like based on the kind of message that is received. In general, what I'm doing is I'm setting the color of body to whatever the color that was received in the request. And once that is done, I'm sending the response saying the new color is this. So in order to make this code work, what I need to do is register some additional things into my manifest.json that tells the extension that my extension has permissions to do all these things. So for doing that, we need a permissions key, and what kind of permissions that is needed by my code, we have to specify that. So I'll just add the permissions key, and currently I need active tab permission because I want to query the tab, and storage permission to store data into local storage, basically the color. So this is in short. Let me just quickly reload my browser extension and open. So like we mentioned, we need to open developers.chrome. I mean, the extension will work on this website only. Now, once I press Command Shift and Y, it should change the color. Like it has now changed the color to wheat. Now, if I do it again, Command Shift Y, it will change the color to black. So basically, it will toggle the colors like this as per the code that we have written here. Well, that's it for the demo.